for tuning in to another episode of 518Talks podcast 2019. As you can tell, we are live, we're recording online, and we're streaming, so we are going all in right now. I'd like to thank my special guest, Mr. Damonni, Farley, for stopping through today.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, so really, the good thing about this is we just gonna build, we're gonna have a conversation.
Right.
The topic of this conversation, this podcast today is just state of the community, where we're at, where we've been, where we've come from, and what it is that we're doing right now. So as an individual who's come from the community in the last few years, what are some of the things you've seen in the growth of our community?
Yeah, so I guess the first place, we should probably start off is just about, defining, community. And I think that there's really simple things that create a strong community, right? Like some of those things are, a strong family structure, a collective, effort amongst neighbors, goodwill, sustainable employment, and or, business opportunities. And I've seen a growth in the community in all of those areas. So, and so when I say community, we're talking about Schenectady community. We're talking about the community at large. We're talking about community of color. So I guess it's kind of my question to you a little bit. Is to just provide a more specific answer that I'm talking
Right.
about.
Well, I would say specifically amongst our people.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I guess when I talk about the community, something I look to, I look to our people and the work that we're doing. I look to TBU. I look to
Peer
John.
group.
Yeah. I look to John Scott. I look to Miracle on Craig Street. I look to Fort Family. I look to those organizations that are really on the ground in the community on a regular basis doing the work, getting to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm talking about our community, like that, those people in the mud, in the trenches, like that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, when we talk about our peers in the community, man, our peer group, I mean, there's work happening crazy, bro. And I think, I can answer that by saying this. A lot of times, like when people think about community and community leaders, there's a handful of names that come up, and usually, my name, your name, but like there's a long list of people who are doing working every day to, create a better quality of life for people in the community. So I mean, and those are, the Miracle on Craig Street, TBU, Fort Family, Josh Baker, with Chef Fam, and so I see it. Even our local barbershops, people think, people going to get their hair cut. But people are going to get their hair cut. People are, there's some health literacy going on there. There's some, some real training around life skills, apprenticeship. So a lot of great things are happening in the community, man. So those are just some of the things I saw.
Right. So right now, what I really like is that we're seeing the work on a regular basis. And the thing is like when I got into the community work 9 years or so ago, I was naive to a lot of things. So understanding what you're getting into, and then understanding what you're supposed to expect. For me, I didn't expect anything out of it. And I tell people a lot of times, I didn't sign up for this. It wasn't like coming out of incarceration. I was like, I want to be the greatest community leader in the world.
Right.
Nah, that was Walter Simpkins. And he was just an individual who helped mold me and helped me create a platform.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I never set out to be nobody's leader. It wasn't anything that was on my radar. So now it's like, Will, you're doing all this. And for me, it's commonplace. It's like, I'm just doing the work that's on my heart. For somebody else on the outside looking in, it's like, but you're doing this. And I'm like, I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing that I'm doing is investing the energy into my community that was invested into me. So I really talk about that, the work.
Yeah, so a couple things when we talk about the work, people will say, Will, you're doing a great job. You guys are so selfless in what you're doing. And sometimes I feel guilty when people say stuff like that, man, because what people don't realize is that the work that we do, we are compensated for greatly in love, support, good energy, well wishes. People are, it's like people think that you do all these things and you're so selfless in your work, and really no, it's extremely fulfilling.
Yeah.
I have 2 sons, and one of my main thing, before I leave here is I want to model the type of man that I want them to be, or at least help, inspire them to be the type of man that they want to be, but I want to be a good example. So it's like a lot of the work I do and things like that, man, I bring them with me, they get to see it. So it's very personal to me. So it is about the community at large, but I just want to be, honest and say I get a lot from it.
Well, and I think like that's one of the most important things for me as well is within the work that I do, the scope of services or events, like I think a lot of people fail to realize my wife is always on board.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My wife is always on board. Any event that you come to that Save Our Streets that I'm a part of and the event looks good and comes out nice, trust me, it's Shantae making it work. Because I'm not organized. I'm an idea guy. I have a light bulb, I go to work. She's the one who makes it all work. But to have even my daughter be involved, you know what I'm saying, my god brother, my brother Alfredo, to have my nieces, and I feel like for me that's one of the most important things. Is because it's instilling that work. Right. It's instilling those values. It's instilling that effort, that love of others, and that giving back to people. Right. Instilling that in our youth, and I think that's extremely important. Like I'll say this: I remember we did a Stop the Violence march a couple years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I remember we was marching around, and we doing the thing, and I remember when the newspaper came out the next morning. It was a picture of all of us, and your son was standing in the front.
Yeah, yep. It was a proud moment because what was crazy is that there were a lot of people there, initially, but and there was a lot of news footage there. There were a lot of elected officials there, people.
And talk about that.
Yeah,
talk about
that. I'm gonna tell the truth. So, and as kind of the news, majority news started packing up, I started seeing people leave. And I was talking with my son, and we had, I think the initial march was literally 1 block, and then we had stopped in the park, and people started packing up and leaving, and my son was like, "Where's everybody going? Like there has to be more to this." And at the time I believe he was 12 or maybe 11 at the time, and I'm like, he's absolutely right, and so that's when I was like, yo,
let's keep going.
Let's go. Let's if we're gonna march, because I got a feeling about marches. I think that there's a place for marches, but if that's all you're going to do is march, then it's more performative than it is effective in creating change that we need. So if I'm going to be a part of a march, I want to make sure that we're going to march in the community that was impacted by this violence, and people get a chance to join in, that fellowship, and that wasn't happening. So it was my son who was like, there's got to be more to this. You know what I mean? And it was like, yeah, you're right. So then, that's when we linked up and grabbed people, and people started coming off the porch. And it was, it was a beautiful moment, man. Yeah, it was a good moment.
And something I like about what you do is I know, even with the work in the community and different things that you do, you also work within the school district. And I know, for the past few years, we've been fighting for education. Right. Not just educational funding, but for the physical education of our youth in our community. Right. So as a person who works with youth in the school, and even with I believe it's a community school model, I mean, really talk about that, like some of the changes you've seen with education, with the school, with the work that you've done and the impact that you've seen.
So, the school district is kind of like an aircraft carrier, right? It's like this big thing, and in order to get to a place where you are changing course, you need that collective effort. Right. And often, the parent voice, the student voice, people most impacted by the decisions that are made are, often overlooked. And I think that what I've been seeing in the school district over the last couple of years is a true effort to not only just, let people's voices be heard, but make decisions, based on, driven, from that feedback from parents and students. So I think that's the biggest thing, that I'm proud of for the work that I've been doing in the school district.
Yeah, and I'll say, kind of to piggyback off that is just you have been seeing more of an effort, not only from from your parents and community leadership members to become more involved in the education process. Showing up to PTA meetings and showing up to school board meetings and challenging them on their ideas, challenging them on their policies. And I think kind of the next level of that is challenging them is great. Challenging information is great. We have to hold people accountable. And I think kind of in the realm we are, that's kind of been the next level of evolution for us is, you start with, just going to meetings and you're seeing stuff. And then you start to share your voice.
Right.
Then you start to challenge information. And then as you begin to build more, you start to say to yourself, okay, this is not enough. I got to start holding people accountable.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Be who you say you are all the time. So
know.
if we're in a meeting and you're saying, this is the fight, I'm fighting for education, be that all the time. So when the cameras come on and it's interested, right? When the cameras come on, don't disappear when the cameras go off.
Yeah. So I think that, when you look at that, when you're talking about accountability, it's about self-accountability as well, right? Like, as we mature, we realize that we can't have an expectation of others that we're not, willing to uphold ourselves.
Right.
And, I'm not always, listen, on the record, I'm not always my best self, right? Like, I know that. But it's important that integrity that, is maintained all the time, right? Like, so I'm not saying you can't make a mistake. I'm not saying that you can't, because one thing that's dope about the community for me is that they're extremely understanding, forgiving, supportive. I mean, man, no matter what it is, I'm like, I'm hearing feedback. I'm thinking we should go in this direction. It's like, boom, 100 people. Like, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? And I think that's earned through being who you say you are and being integral in everything you do. So, yeah.
One of your marks on the community, and what I love about the 518Talk podcast is we have the opportunity to talk about so many things. So it's not just a topic when I'm speaking to a person.
Yeah.
It's really understanding the individual that we're working with. So one of your statements, one of your marks on the community is poetry motion.
Yeah.
And I really want you to kind of talk about that because part of what we do, what I want to do with the 518Talks podcast is inspire people to step outside and make a mark on life. Don't just sit home and feel like, oh, I can't try this because I don't know this. Nah, if you want to launch a brand, launch it. If you want to start a podcast, start it. You want to write a movie, write it. Whatever it is you feel you want to do it. And I say the beauty in poetry emotions because I've seen it grow over the last few years. Even me and my wife had the opportunity to attend it. And just being there and sharing the ambiance and the love and the energy that was in the room. So I really talk about poetry in motion, how you got, how it started, to how you grew it to where it's at now.
So, we actually started in a small little kind of hole-in-the-wall bar. We actually were doing something that was called Soul Food Sundays. So my wife, my sister, her crew, they were cooking meals and people were coming through on a Sunday. And then, we think about soul food and we kind of flipped it as soul food, food for the soul. Like, what is that? That's poetry, that's, spoken word, where, people get to, listen to some real artists, talk about real issues. So we kind of put the two together. And I remember, it's crazy because I'll make the long story short, is that it kind of started, it was me and my friend Jamar Sims, who, doesn't live here anymore, but he was up visiting. We were sitting at the bar, we were having a beer, we were talking, and I was talking about, hey, man, like this spoken word, when we go back to like really think about how it impact all social change. Like at the root of poetry is activism, right? It just is what it is. You think about links to use. Like I was sitting here talking, I was like, we need that scene here. There's a lot of people that are interested. We need that scene. And I remember there was a lady actually who was sitting next to him, and she was like, "Oh, you can't do that in Schenectady," And I was, well, what do you mean? People aren't into that. You have to go to a big city to do those type of things. Schenectady people aren't thinking like that, and it was kind of like, oh, challenge accepted, right? Like I was like, okay, God, we want to do it, and we put some things together, and now, I mean, it's really the biggest spoken word, show really in this area. It sells out every time, and I'm grateful for it. The support, again, people just pour out to it, and we started in a small spot. We moved to another place. In Schenectady, and we sold that spot out. The guys who owned that place, they had bartenders like, hey man, this is the greatest night. I had to wow, make some money. So I was like, yeah, we'll be back. So I remember weeks later, I go back, I talked to the owner and say, hey man, what's going on, let's look at another day. And he was kind of like a little hesitant, and I couldn't understand why. I'm like, what's up man, this is doing well for you. And people are coming out and he was kind of dragging his feet, and then one of his employees pulled me aside, look, we have a certain demographic that comes here, and, I think that he was, even though they made a lot of money, he was really uncomfortable.
Demographic.
Yeah, and I'm like, so we're talking about black people, right? Like, let's call it what it is.
Absolutely.
You know, and he was like, yeah. And it's unfortunate, man, because you see, these beautiful people coming in, dressed up nice at the time. So I was frustrated with that, right? But in that moment, this is how the universe works. Proctors, Phil was talking with a friend of mine, Hector Ramirez, and he was like, I'm really looking for something. I want to be intentional about, being more diverse in our shows and make sure people get to experience proctors. And so Hector knew at the time that, what I was dealing with, this other establishment, and boom, and it was like, I'm like, proctors, that's a big deal. Like, at that point, when we talk about our peer group, like no one has done anything yet when proctors said, and now it's like, boom, you know what I mean? So it's like the universe really just, it provides, bro, always, man. So, I'm grateful for that. But the show is dope. We get talents from all over the country. Actually, I was really impressed at last show. We had some people come from Canada, so it's got like a little cult following. Me and my man Bless Wise Words host the show with me. My wife does all the decor, and it's just amazing, man. Amazing job.
I think that's something I really like about where we're at right now as people is, it feels almost like, I remember being in school and studying like the Harlem Renaissance.
Yes, 518 Renaissance.
Really, I feel like that's what,
yeah.
You have David in fashion, Ilana in fashion, you have Kimberly doing art, you have so many people that are marking, Ketchup Enterprise, Trent Griffin with Tech Valley Show, people starting their businesses, the music scene, the fashion scene, the activism, the culture. So for people, when I'm conversating with people and they're talking about all the activity, and I'm saying to myself, you can't see what I'm saying. I wish I could give you my eyes so you could really see the beauty in what it is that I'm seeing.
The thing is this, bro, and it's the thing we gotta remember, right? So your eye isn't just your eye. Your eye is trained to see things, right? So when we talk about business, which is a huge part of the 518 Renaissance as well, like the economic boom, the economic growth of young people of color, and when we talk about that, people, you have to train in business. You have to train your eye to see opportunity, right? And it's like one of those things that when you take that leap, you'll start to see, oh, there might be opportunity over here, or there's opportunity over there. The same thing works, with people with negativity, right? Their eyes are trained to find, oh, this is happening.
If you want negativity,
oh man, you're gonna find it. You know what I mean? So I think it's about, just constantly putting out that real positive message, not that fake like everything's, we're the greatest, so we have nothing to work on, but really like this is the, pay attention to the good things that we're doing so we can build on that momentum. And if you can't, then, I ain't got time for you, bro. You can't.
Well, and I think that's the thing I really like to focus on, because I'll be the first to tell you, I got caught up in the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Like absolutely in being naive to the whole process. I got caught up in the nonsense. And at some point, the things that I was doing was no longer about the work, it became about me. Honestly, I can say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm blessed to have a wife who was like, nah, let me holler at you.
Let me tell you something.
Let me bring that down.
Shut that down.
And the beauty in that is now I'm in a space where I'm so comfortable.
Yeah.
In everything I'm doing, so it allows me to just accept everybody where they're at and just show love for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like when I talk to people about greatness over hatred, the shirts that I came up with a couple years ago, everybody's like, well, what makes you great? I said, it's not a matter of me being greater than anybody. If I see greatness in me, I see it in you as well. Right. You know what I'm saying? So likewise, if I say greatness over hatred, it doesn't mean that I'm great and you're hating. It just means that's the energy I choose to accept in my life right now to be above the nonsense.
Right.
So with that, I want to get into something particular because I definitely want to talk about it.
Okay.
In the last few years, we've had Chris Gibbs run for mayor. Shout out Chris Gibbs. Myself run for school board. You run for city council.
Yeah.
So on top of the renaissance we're seeing in business, we're seeing a renaissance in politics as well.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get into that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, bro, it's about, listen, man, we stand on the shoulders of giants, man. When we think about those who were here before us, I think about Joe Adams, the things like, so when, a lot of people don't know, when he went to, when he was running for city council, the KKK was sending him hate mail, to his house with his family, you know what I'm saying? And he said, this is, representation is important enough for me to put my family at risk, you know what I'm saying? So when I think about things like that, I also say how can I understand, knowing that legacy,
Mhm.
you know, be fearful in pursuing, you know, representation for the people. Like, you can't do it. We stand. I mean, we owe.
Yeah.
We owe. And I think that now what you're starting to see is people, you know, we're not in the era of asking permission anymore.
Nah, we're
You
not.
know what I'm saying?
Nah,
But not like, you know, hey, you know, I want to do this. I mean, you know, it's like, no, we're
Nah,
not
no,
doing this. Right.
that's what it is.
And you're gonna just, you know, you're gonna get what I give you, and you're gonna just like accept this as I am. And I think that's one of the reasons why the campaign was so successful, is that because people